It seems like United have found some money under the sofa to go and bid 85 million for Benjamin Sesko, despite already spending 60 and 70 M's on their previous two strikers and having guys like Ugarte and Casemiro in their midfield. So it had me wondering, how many of United's big signings have actually been a success? So today we're going to do a tier list of their 40 most expensive signings, starting from the likes of Van Persie, Anderson, Fellaini in the 30 millions, up to 40, 50, 60, all the way up to the likes of Pogba and Antony at 100 million. We're going to judge everything from ability, expectations, longevity, what they achieve, numbers, and rank them from S to F. S being sensational signing, A being amazing, B being like, yeah, you were blessed, like you were good. C is a calm signing, D is for disappointing, i.e. good player, had high expectations but you let me down, and F, well, I don't want to get demonetized, but I think you know what F stands for. They were terrible. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. If you man start spamming the likes on the video, I'll make these for Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. We'll go outside as well. We'll go and do Real Madrid, Barcelona top 40 as well. Kicking off with Van Persie, it might already be a little bit controversial because I am going to go A, and I'll tell you why. Incredible value for money, right? I'm going to be speaking in euros because I've got the numbers in transfer marks, but I remember in pounds this one was 24 million from Arsenal and immediately won them the league. However, the reason why he's not going just that bit higher is because obviously he had those 2 incredible years and then boom, he fell off a cliff and left. The guys that are going to be in S, you'll see, were dominating for years and years and years. If you got him in S for that impact over those couple years, I hear it. But I'm going to go A for amazing signing. Next up, we got Anderson, also 30 million. This one, I'm afraid, disappointing. When he bursts onto the scene, yeah, again, a Brazilian at United, you're thinking, hold on a minute. They got a player on their hands here. The ability was there for all to see, but I don't know if it was something mentally lacking. It just felt like he couldn't really get to grips with the speed of the play in the Premier League these times. Bear in mind, this guy won the Golden Boy Award in 2008, so he was highly touted. If I read you the 4 names that won it before him, the likes of Rooney, Messi, Fabregas, Aguero, you can see that his career didn't quite live up to that. Next up, we got Fellaini. I'm going to go with a calm C. Look, he came from Everton and he saved them a lot of times with them last minute goals. Was that meant to be his job? Is that what he was bought for? Probably not, but hey, his chest and hold up play, fantastic. Everything else, I mean, the less said the better. But again, for the amount of times he saved United in their barren runs, I'll go for a calm signing. Memphis Depay, you are our first F signing. This was abhorrent. All I can remember from his time at United was doing one header where he was pretty much in his own defensive box, or he was right by the corner flag, did a terrible header out and ended up conceding. I don't know if it's the curse of the shirt number 7 or what. Because next up, we have a man who's had even less contribution to Manchester United. Alexis Sanchez, his best moment in that shirt is playing the piano. Do, 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 do. I bet they dashed that piano away, bro, never to be seen again. Or Jim Ratcliffe when I sold it on eBay. I remember this one so vividly because Arsenal fans were there saying he's kind of fell off for the last few months. United fans are there saying, no, shut up, you're salty. But it turns out for once, Arsenal fans may have been right. Not only was he terrible on the pitch, but he completely obliterated United's wage structure. So now every player is thinking, hold on a minute, how's my man getting that much money? I should be on the same thing. Lindelof up next. I'm going D. I know I say disappointing, and listen, when I've not got high expectations, you can't really disappoint me. But at the same time, you were barely available. Like, you did give a few years of service, so I can't really put you in the F. And there were times where other players were injured and he'd cover at left back, or he'd play here, he'd play there alongside many different partners. Of a 35 mil or so, nah, I'm not rating it. Another man going straight into the F. It's one member of the midfield. Do you guys remember that? They were gassing up, yeah? Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger saying, yeah, the midfield, pass us if you can. Yeah, bare teams passed it, I can't lie. I can't even do, for those of us who remember, anything Schneiderlin did. I can't. And the Herrera's going to get a calm C. I can hear pushing it to a B, maybe. But he was kind of symbolic of a United team that just did not have a clue how to control the ball. And look, I don't want to be a celebration police here. But from when you're scoring against, I think it was like Yeovil Town or something, yeah? This guy ran to the advertising board and started kicking it and volleying it. I'm thinking, brother, this is Manchester United. Like, you got to act like you've been here before, bro. Why are you booting the advertising board for scoring versus Yeovil? Not only that, but a Spanish midfielder from the 2010s that can't pass a football nicely, you can't be on the B list for me. Wayne Rooney, We have, of course, our first member of the S tier. Sensational signing. Everyone knew it from the moment that he bagged against Arsenal on his Everton debut, and he just went from strength to strength. The hat-trick on his United Champions League debut with Fenerbahce, going on to be the face of FIFA for multiple years, and the face of the Premier League as a whole. I know this don't count, but listen, off the pitch, legacy-wise, he gave us one of the best TV shows of all time. Wayne Rooney, Street Striker, bring it back. He ended his career as United's top goal scorer all time, and he's without a doubt United's greatest player since Bobby Charlton retired in 1973. For those of us who remember. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Luke Shaw. I'm going to put him in a B. Like, he was blessed, innit? The thing is, injuries ruined him. Maybe a love for pudding or whatever he eats perhaps ruined him a little bit. But he had his moments. I remember United fans were calling this guy Shawberto Carlos. So as washed as he is now, there were times where he got it together. He can go down to a C, I'll be honest. But in fairness to him, he was an England regular. In fact, no, I can't lie. There's too many bad years, bro. Look, I'm swapping him and Herrera. That looks better to me. Next up, Eric Bailly. Nobody saw this video to Nick 2018, but I'm going to put him in a C for calm. He was anything but calm on the football pitch. Very erratic. But on the few occasions that he locked in, he was a good centre-back. Now we got Dimitar Berbatov. He's going into a B. This one is kind of, I'm not going to say, you know, wrong timing, because again, he won what he won. But obviously it's unfortunate for him that he's playing in an era where United have superstars all over the front line. So he was never really the main guy, but ability, fantastic. He grabbed the golden boot as well, so I think a B's calm. Donny van der Beek. Psh, don't even know where that brother is right now. We go up to the players in the 40 mil range now. We've got Rafa Varane. Very polarizing. I am going to go with a C. And I'll tell you why. I think there was a lot of excitement, a lot of expectation when he came from Madrid, because he wasn't even in his 30s yet, so he had a lot still to give. But I mean, the amount that this guy used to cry about playing too much, and I get it, when your knees are bent like that, of course you're going to be moaning. But you've been playing for Real Madrid for years, you should be able to handle this. In the end, the geezer stayed for a couple years and dipped. Next up, we've got Mkhitaryan. This one, I'm going to go in D for disappointing. I had high hopes for Mkhitaryan. I think everyone watching Dortmund them times, they loved him. He obviously scored that offside scorpion kick goal. Everyone went crazy. But it just never really clicked for him at United. I'm not going to go F because he wasn't completely honking. He had some alright performances here and there that made you think, you know what, he might just get it together. But ultimately disappointed. Another one joining the D tier is Joshua Zirkzee. For me personally, I'm disappointed. He showed little signs of being a footballer in the last couple months of the season, but so far, it's been abhorrent. The guy got hooked off, he started crying, and started running off into their changing rooms. For a man that United fans on the internet were calling the Zlatan Ibrahimovic regen, I'm yet to see any of that. But again, I'm not going to put him in the F tier because he's shown a nice bit of link-up play here and there in patches. Someone that does perfectly fit the D for disappointing here is Juan Sebastian Veron. Anyone who's watched this guy before or after, or even during United, will know this guy's a baller. His first touch, one of the most underrated in world football. But unfortunately, this is a case of wrong place, wrong timing. Because in the proper Barclays era where everyone's running 4-4-2, this guy was too far ahead of the curve and he was more of a three-man midfielder. So it never quite worked out for him in the Premier League. Two 40 million Chelsea players up next. First one being Matic. We're going to chuck him in the C tier. Obviously at this point he's 28 years old. Maybe his best years have passed him a little bit at Chelsea, but he was still very solid for United. He brought bags of experience. Just a calm signing. Mata at age 25 though, a lot better. You might call me crazy for this one, but from what I saw alone, I am going to go A. He gave United a lot of years, very consistent. Sure, on ability, he can never chat to Van Persie or winning a title like he did. But in comparison to the dross that we've seen on this list so far, I think he was a good servant for United overall. De Ligt, I'm unsure, I'll be honest. This could go anywhere. I'm going to put him in C for calm because, look, he's had some bad performances, he's had some fantastic ones, so we're going to balance it out in the middle and just give him a C for calm. Now we bring a serious centre-back. Rio Ferdinand, 0-2-0-3 times. He's going straight into the sensational tier. He gave them over a decade of world-class defensive displays. Don't be fooled by that holding the QPR shirt Rio, bro. Prime Rio, you could have a very strong argument for being the best centre-back in Premier League history. Paying 40 mil like 22 years ago is insane. But he was worth every single penny for ability, trophies, longevity. Every single criteria, check, 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 check. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for our next signing. Ugarte. Every criteria, X, 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 For you to look out of place in pre-season friendlies is massively concerning. People may think, oh, why do you have Ugarte agenda? Is because of United or something? First and foremost, as you know, on this channel, I don't care about bias towards this team or hate that team or love that team. If you followed me for a long time, you know I've never been Ugarte's guy. Go back to 2023. In fact, I'll put a picture here or here, wherever fits better, of me telling Chelsea fans, stop gassing up Ugarte because he's not that good. They were putting comps of him running around, kicking people's shins and showing passion. They said, yeah, bring that to Chelsea. Arsenal fans were saying, yeah, bring Ugarte because of, Sporting beat them in the Europa League. What was I telling the Chelsea fans? I told them Caicedo was available. They were, oh, Ugarte. Now look at them. They're the ones shouting at me that Caicedo is one of the best sixes in the world. Ugarte absolutely stinks. For 45-50 million, PSG went and replaced him. They've gone and got Jean Neves. They're still rocking about with Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha. All of them better than Ugarte. They went and won every single trophy available to them except the Club World Cup. I was scratching my head that first month when I saw United fans defending Ugarte. They were saying, whoa, like, what are you talking about? He's one of our best players. You lot are just blinded by the new signing, new shiny toy bias. He was never good. If you are happy to have a midfielder who does nothing but just try to win the ball back and offer nothing else, by all means be my guest, but that's not my kind of midfielder, and it certainly isn't Hamorim's midfielder in the midfield too. However, on the flip side, I'm always a man of honesty, right? I was cooking Ugarte or Nana. I thought he'd be cold. Watching him at Inter, he was fantastic. I thought he'd be the guy, so it is with regret that he has to go on. Deeply disappointing. Look, there's a lot of debates about him and De Gea. They're screaming, we want De Gea back. You guys are also wrong. Just because Onana stunk it up doesn't mean you should have put up with the other guy that's also stinking. But apparently he's beast because they watched him save 2 penalties for Fiorentina. De Gea was washed, making mistakes every week, and Onana is playing in a similar fashion. They're both not good enough for United. And please, 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 I don't want you to bring me the clean sheet numbers. I know Onana has his good games, but guys, I can't defend this anymore. Maybe Specs was right about IC3 goalkeepers. What can we do? The only argument I have for him is that it's hard to demonstrate how good he is playing out the back when you got the likes of Lisandro the Butcher and Varane with no knees and these players in front of you. Next up, Wan-Bissaka. I'm going B for Bless. Look, again, had his bad days for sure, but at his best, the Spider was one of the best 1v1 tacklers in the league. We can never forget that time he got exposed on Snapchat and then came the next day against, was it PSG, and put in an absolute classic. One of the best right-back performances we've seen since probably Jaume Santos days back in the 1960s, for those of us who remember. And they play quite similarly too. They're not overly silky on the ball, but they just get stuff done and they just whip it forward to the players that are more creative. Lisandro, shout at me all you want. He's going in D for disappointing. He has had some shocking games. One of the greatest memes of the last 5 years is his turning his back to Mo Salah. Where's my man going? Where is blood going? United fans started gassing him again because he did one interview after a draw v Liverpool saying, yeah, we changed the mentality. We changed the mentality. You went and lost like 20 more games that season. How can your name be the Butcher and you spend more time injured yourself than playing on the pitch? The guy gets bullied in the air, bullied for strength, bullied for speed. The sooner you guys let this go, the better. Up next, we got Pastor Fred. I'm going to give him a calm C. I think he was a bit of a scapegoat at times. Again, not an incredible footballer, but he followed instructions, he worked hard, he got a goal every now and then. Too many times United would lose games and they'd be like, oh, it's Fred, oh, it's Fred, it's Fred. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Sometimes Fred won't even play and I'll be seeing tweets like, yep, if only we didn't have Fred playing. I know, again, he came from Shakhtar, 50, 55 M's. You're expecting more than just industrious midfielder. That's why he's not going to go in like a B or anything higher. But it was a calm signing. Up next, ice cold Tony Marshall. Welcome to Manchester United, Anthony Martial. He has to go in a C. I was contemplating D for disappointing because when you have a Ballon d'Or clause in your contract and you don't even set foot in the top 30, probably not even top 100 at any point, that's kind of disappointing. But saying that, he had a couple alright seasons. His ability to me was never in question. Temperament more so. He scored some big goals. He had some big game howlers as well. So on average, he's just a calm signing. Now this one, the next guy's been there for only a year. So it's a bit more of like a projection, if you will. But I am going to put Lenny Yoro in the B tier. I think obviously barred that first couple months and he was getting cooked by Suleimana of Southampton. He's really started to grow into his frame. And I know it's just pre-season, but some of the tackles and blocks he's been putting in, you have to hold your hand up and say, you know what, fair play. They signed him as an 18-year-old, so unless Madrid or someone else come knocking, they, in theory, have him for the next 5-10 years. And with his ability to cover ground, especially in that back three, he is even more important to Amorim than he realizes. We're getting close to our top 10. In 12th, Bruno Fernandez, 60 million. I know where the diehard top Reds are going. I'm not joining them there. I'm going A. Look at the names in the S tier and tell me Bruno belongs there. He doesn't. If anything, he should be grateful to be holding hands, clapping next to Van Persie, because his impact is not near the same. All summer, all I've been hearing is, oh my days, why are you slandering Bruno? Without him, we'd have been in a relegation battle. You had Bruno all season and you were in a relegation battle. At what point do you realise maybe there is a correlation between this? Maybe him treating the football like a nuclear bomb every time is the reason why United cannot ever control games. I've put him in the A because, again, compared to the rest of these names, there's not a lot to go off. And yes, he can give you crazy numbers. That's all they can tell you about. Numbers, 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 numbers. Like it's a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Granted, this year, I'm not acting like he was meaty. He definitely improved performance-wise. But even still, there are too many games, especially when the lights are brightest. I think Europa League final. A game to pretty much save United's next decade, or the rest of the decade, if you will. Absolute clanger against Tottenham Hotspur in a final. What kind of captain loses a final to Tottenham? Big games. If it's not a penalty or a free kick, what is bro doing? One day it's going to hit you guys that, yo, that 100 million, we should have pushed that guy to Saudi. Don't care if you want to stay. Go to Saudi. I'm telling you now, this Amorim two-man midfield, he ain't got a spot there. Everyone's going to shout, but then eventually you'll all see it and be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, fairs. And likewise, they're going to shout at me because he scored a nice finesse in pre-season. But Mason Mount, you are joining the F tier. I'm sorry. Unacceptable. I don't care that every 3 months he scores a nice goal and then everyone has to clip it and put it on Twitter. Money Mace is back. Where have you been? At least some of the other guys, they have availability. You are not even available and your best attribute is listening to instructions. Again, maybe it's the curse of number 7. Look, I don't know. But based on what we've seen so far, I cannot go above F. A Casemiro, I'm sorry, it's got to be a D. Disappointing. You're spending 65 M's on a guy in his 30s and then you're acting shocked when the guy gives you like 6 months of fantastic football, kind of muscle memory from Real Madrid, and then falls off a cliff. Fantastic Europa League run last season, I will admit, so definitely Jamie Carragher can hold that for saying, you know, leave the football before it leaves you. But still, how many bad games have we seen from him? It's far too many. And it's not just last season. We can think back to like Crystal Palace times when I think there was a game where he had to just not get booked to not miss the next game against Arsenal, I think it was. The guy got suspended for a needless foul. The guy gets nonsense reds. Don't be fooled by him scoring them headers from free kicks. His job is to be there playing DM and he's not been good at it. Disappointing. In 9th, we've got 70 mil for Cunha. Look, way too early to judge. It's been a couple preseason games, so I'm going to put him there for now. Maybe at the end of the video, we'll decide where to guess him. But I know it won't be as bad as F. Di Maria. Where to begin on this one? What a chip against Leicester. Other than that, where was my man? This guy staged his own home robbery just to get out of United. And then to make matters worse, he went to PSG, he went to school against United and mocked them. He was drinking the beer and whatnot. How is it possible that Di Maria has succeeded at every club and internationally except United? I don't want to hear about any decent 1 month because for expectations coming from Real Madrid, terrible. And Bruno is the second one that is not going to count for now, so we'll save those two. Rasmus Højlund. It's getting worse and worse, guys. 70 million and they already want to spend the money again. 85 mil for Sesko. I think that says enough. We're chucking him in the F tier. He is, in fact, no, you got to go below Ugarte even. I can't lie. I don't mean to be harsh, yeah, but for me, strikers cannot be losers. That does sound harsh, but like, just hear me out. I want a striker who knows he's the guy. Even if you're not, at least think you're the guy. You have to have a bit of like a ruthless, you know, killer about you. This guy is like, you can tell how desperate he is to be scoring goals. Whether that be shouting at Dorgu for having a reasonable shot when the ball was never going to get to him. Whether it's his Instagram post saying, oh guys, you know how much I needed that one and you didn't even win the game. Or blocking that, I'm just waiting for the miracle to come on TikTok. You can't have insecure guys as your number 9, I'm sorry. In a complete contrast, someone who does think he's the guy and maybe isn't at all times is Lukaku. But I'm going to put him on the B tier because, hear me out. There's a lot of memes and of course there was the wearing the Dr. Martens boots and their jeans and the just do it bag and whatever. But at United specifically, his numbers were decent. And also, from selling him, you got a good feedback. So it wasn't a totally disgraceful transfer where you spent 60, 70 mil, he left on a free, or he left for like 20 mil, you made a massive loss. I think he was alright. Maybe I'm going crazy. Someone who definitely was a waste of money and a waste of time was Jadon Sancho. My goodness. This one is quite sad because these guys were genuinely printing Sancho shirts 3 years before he even arrived. They were so excited for him to come. Arrived, wasn't hitting the ground running at all. They sent him to the mountains after a while. He came back, scored against, was it Leicester and Liverpool, I think it was. They were like, oh yeah, Sancho's back again. Terrible again. Went on loan to Chelsea so bad that they paid money to send him back from an obligation to buy. Guys, have you ever seen that before? How can you be so bad that I'm obligated to buy you and I'm sending your own club money to not have you? F tier. We get on to our top 3 and this one might surprise some, but Harry Maguire is going in the B tier. I'll tell you why. 80 million, yeah, cool, is the fridge, is that. But, look, I think another player that gets scapegoated a lot, and I'm not going to act like he's been class all the time or even above average all the time. He's defo had a lot of stinkers. But that being said, he's had a lot of the opposite as well. Obviously, United captain for a while. He's an England starter. It took him a while, but he's had a lot of good games for United, and I think he's a bit more than just calm. It's been 5-6 years. He's pretty reliable for the most part. I think a B's fair, but again, on this channel, I'm not like the master of facts or something. If you disagree with me, that's cool. Let me know in the comments. But I think we can all shake hands, no matter what happened at Betis. As far as we're concerned, Anthony, this is an F. Maybe I rank him higher because him and the likes of Højlund got me a lot of cash from making those videos of listing 100 wingers better than Anthony, listing 100 strikers better than Højlund, listing 200 better than Højlund. Maybe one day I got to make the, what's it called? Sequel, is it Trequel or Sequel 2.0? Point being, maybe the third version, 300 strikers better than Højlund. But yeah, guys, Anthony is not it. I remember I got shouted that because I was said after his, was it his debut against Arsenal where he was doing like the lion, like in the Warner Brothers. I said, well guys, he scored that goal, but he wasn't good in this game. Are we gassing up this winger for 100 million? They started slapping my head and throwing tomatoes. Now look at them. Bad signing. Which means we end on the most polarizing one. Paul Labil Pogba. Let's give the backstory and then we'll decide where to put him. Of course, playing in the United Academy, they let him go for free to Juventus. He became one of the best centimeters in the world. He became a Vine dubstep superstar, scoring all those volleys alongside the likes of Vidal and Pirlo. United paid 100 mil to bring back their own player. So already a red flag. He was dabbing, he was doing the dances with Stormzy. Yeah, guess who's back? He was meant to propel United, catapult them to the titles and the Champions League, the big trophies. For all his ability, that is undeniable for anyone. Even Graham Souness cannot try and tell you that this guy was a meaty footballer. But he rarely showed it in United colours. Even during this time, he was still doing it for France. But at United, it never quite clicked. So I'm afraid this is the face of the disappointment tier. Because upon spending that 100 million, again, once the time came to an end, gone for free again. What's worse? You can make an argument that current Pogba starts for United, but he's gone for free now anyway. And his brothers buried the hyena in Old Trafford, so it's too late. That is my final list. I'm pretty happy with that. I'd say, based off pre-season alone, I'd put Cunha and Mbeumo in a B tier. I do think there'll be good signings for United. Let me know what you change. Keep subscribing. As I always say, we're on day 14 of the daily uploads now. On the way to that 100k plaque. It's going to be there by the end of the season. We'll try our best. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bosh.